Oh, wait, I'm sorry, Mike, one more thing I forgot, I told Ron I'd do it, is that retention of employees. Eric Beck, I met with him today, and he was saying that the reason they gave the raise and gave that much of a raise after they got their 3% raise was because they did a study and they found out that they
It was
didn't.
before they got their 3% raise.
You got what?
It was before they.
Before they got 3%. Well, he said after they got 3%, what they found out that they weren't being very competitive with what they were paying. So I'm asking the board to approve that $100.50 that the county got that we didn't give our people back in January.
Well, I've got questions. You're just talking about spending money and having to go to the
That's right.
voters and get more money, and now you're trying to spend more money. And
That's exactly right. Because
you can make this motion, but I say we table it now. You know and I know, and Mike knows, we have discussed this in executive session. We have discussed this. So my thoughts would be to table this and let's get Cindy involved, like she was involved, and you know this, back in January when we brought this to her attention. And we did bring it to her attention. We all talked about it. So my recommendation would be, if you're making a motion, to table the motion and let's meet about it, talk to Cindy about it, let Dan review it, and see how they're gonna pay for this in the long run,
Okay.
how that's gonna happen.
I-
That's my take on it.
I would agree completely. I think it's contradicting yourself a little bit as far as saying, encouraging the voters to quote, stomp on a levy and send a message to the ballot box, and then say that we need to spend more money. As Mr. Miller pointed out, there's CDLs and everything, maybe that matters, maybe that doesn't, but I think that needs to be discussed by the board. The same with the fire department. You know, I think we need to look at all of our departments and all of our operations and look at how we are as far as competitiveness with, again, like-sized townships. As was pointed out, we're not a Green, we're not a Coleraine, we're not a Delhi, but we need to look at all of our departments and not just be put on the spot to say, hey, let's give a raise to the maintenance. Nothing is the maintenance. You guys do a fantastic job and everything else, but we need to take all these things into consideration and go through our fiscal officer who has a handle on our fiscal stability and where we are. So,
No, I agree with that. I mean, but then you broke off and you spent $42,000 on an administrator. So you've got money to do what you want to do with it. See?
We didn't, now, hold on a minute, that's not entirely true, Jack.
Oh, the salary's not 42,000.
It is, but we ran that by Cindy, and you know this, that she said we had that in the general fund, and you know that.
And no, she said it would be in the general fund if we could pay the assistant chief and the chief out of the COVID money.
Well, she did say that too, but she did also say, Cindy, correct me if I'm wrong, if you're listening
Yes,
to this.
we get the money in the general fund for administrator.
Thank you. So
So we won't be needing to raise the general fund anytime soon then, right?
Now we won't have to, if you read the report I gave you.
I got it right here. We're gonna lose 510,000.
We will not have to put a levy on until the operating levy is due.
26, right? The same amount?
Right.
Well, we have-
0.46 mils? Okay, all right. So you wanna table it?
I would like to table it, and we get more information before we make a decision.
Well, you've been giving me information for over a year.
Well, that's not true, Jack.
Ronnie, you haven't
No,
been
that's not
putting in
true.
our boxes?
We
Do
do.
what?
I'm not talking about
on-
information from Ronnie, I'm talking about information on the budget, how we're gonna pay for it. Not this year or next year, but the next 5 years and 8 years.
and it's an evolving situation with retention, recruitment and retention that we just talked about with fire and everything else. The world and inflation and salaries and all the other stuff of the economy are in absolute turned upside down and in flux right now. And what was the lay of the land 6 months ago or 12 months ago is completely different than where we are right now. So we have to make the best decision we can for the taxpayers at the time that we're making a decision. And I think that the environment and the landscape is completely different than it was 12 months ago. So it's something we're put on the spot and have to make tough decisions with as much information as we have in front of us at that time.
And I will say this too, and I said this a minute ago, we have discussed this, we have talked about it, so. it's-
Nobody contacted anybody in maintenance to tell us why we didn't get that done.
You got people who don't even go down to maintenance, Ronnie, garage
I mean, I'm just saying, they just never ever had a word from anybody to come down there and say, this is the reason we're not getting this. And I've never been told to
That's
tell
fine,
us.
when we make, I guess after we rehash this now, because we brought it back up, that we can do that. And Jack, I don't know if you're referring to me, I don't know who you're referring to when you say people. But I oversee the maintenance department, so I guess that's referring to me, but
No, it's not.
I work and I try to get down there, I try to communicate with Ron as much as I can. With that being said, we pay Ronnie a good salary to be the supervisor down there. So, that's how I look at it, so let's move on. Mr. Ferguson.
Okay, we received a thank you